Top 10 Most Expensive Paintings Ever Sold, updated 2023. Humans have been creating paintings for more than 40,000 years since our far-removed ancestors began scribbling shapes on cave walls with berries, mud, and ash. In today's world, art has far surpassed these primitive origins. Even people with no art history knowledge can recognize the expensive paintings of famous painters like Vincent van Gogh, Leonardo da Vinci, Claude Monet, and Pablo Picasso. Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci, $450 million. The top contender on the list of the most expensive paintings ever was auctioned off at Christie's New York in 2017 during a contemporary art event. Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci sold for $450 million following an intense 19-minute bidding war. The winner was a prince of Saudi Arabia who bought the painting in New York on behalf of the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism. Interchange by Willem de Kooning, $300 million. Willem de Kooning created this oil-on-canvas painting in 1955. 60 years later, one of the world's most expensive paintings would sell for a mind-blowing $300 million. During the post-World War II art era, de Kooning was known for creating work like this abstract expressionist painting. He belonged to the abstract expressionist movement, also called the New York School. The Card Players by Paul Cézanne, $250 million. Paul Cézanne painted a series of famous paintings in the 1890s that depicted variations on one central theme. These artworks showed different versions of men sitting at a table playing cards. Cézanne is famous for his post-impressionist style, and this particular painting is oil on canvas. Cézanne painted 5 of these variations in total. They vary in size, subjects, and setting. This version of the Card Players was sold in a private sale for $250 million by the royal family of Qatar in 2011. It is rumored they paid double the auction record for any artwork ever. Nafea Faa Ipoipo by Paul Gauguin, $229 million. This oil-on-canvas portrait translated to, "When Will You Marry?" in English. It was created by Paul Gauguin more than a century ago in 1891. That year Gauguin took his first trip to Tahiti and it inspired the piece. It is one of many oil-on-canvas works the artist painted of native Tahitian women. The painting shows 2 young women sitting on a lovely backdrop of golds, blues, and greens. While no one has ever confirmed who bought this valuable painting, many people believe it was purchased by the royal family of Qatar. Number 17A by Jackson Pollock, $200 million. Pollock's famous painting from 1948 was created using liquid synthetic resin paints. The yellow paint dripped on the canvas is a stunning example of Pollock's drip painting method. The piece was made on fiberboard, rather than oil on canvas with oil paint, just 1 year after the drip method was revealed to the public. It was published in Life magazine in 1949 and helped Pollock's career take off. In 2015, Kenneth C. Griffin spent $200 million to add it to his private collection alongside Interchange by Willem de Kooning. Though it is one of the most expensive paintings ever sold, it is on loan to the AIC. 6. Violet, Green, and Red, by Mark Rothko, $186 million. Mark Rothko's number 6, Violet, Green, and Red, is one of the most influential pieces of contemporary art ever created. It is also notorious for a role in the Bouvier affair, between Russian billionaire Dmitry Rybolovlev and his art dealer Yves Bouvier. Rybolovlev insisted that Bouvier was a fraud and stole hundreds of millions of dollars from him by overpricing expensive paintings. Whatever the reasons, when number 6, Violet, Green, and Red, sold for $186 million in a private sale, it set a new auction record for Rothko, becoming one of the most expensive paintings ever in the process. Pendant portraits of Martin Sulmans and Orpien Coppet by Rembrandt, $180 million. Rembrandt painted these portraits of Martin Sulmans and Orpien Coppet in 1634 to celebrate their upcoming nuptials. The portraits of Sulmans and Orpien Coppet have never been separated since their creation. Art historians and experts share a belief that these 2 paintings should always be displayed together. The infamous Rothschild family sold the portraits of Martin Sulmans and portrait of Orpien Coppet from the private collection in 2015. The Louvre and the Rijksmuseum purchased both portraits as a joint venture, splitting the $180 million bill down the middle. This was a new auction record for Rembrandt and fetched the highest price ever for his works. Les Femmes d'Alger version O by Pablo Picasso, $179 million. In the mid-20th century, the legendary painter Pablo Picasso created a series of paintings entitled Les Femmes d'Alger, or Women of Algiers in English. He created 15 versions, including Les Femmes d'Alger version O, throughout his career as a tribute to his close friend Henri Matisse. Les Femmes d'Alger version O was the last of 15 oil-on-canvas works in the series by Pablo Picasso. Many claim Pablo Picasso was inspired by a painting called The Women of Algiers in their apartment by Eugene Delacroix. The painting by Pablo Picasso was sold by Christie's New York in 2015 for $179 million. No one is sure exactly who bought the Pablo Picasso masterpiece, but there are rumors the buyer is Hamad bin Jassim bin Jabbar Al Thani, the former Prime Minister of Qatar. Nu Couché, Reclining Nude, by Amedeo Modigliani, $170 million. This oil-on-canvas work, called Reclining Nude, comes from the famous painter Amedeo Modigliani, who painted it way back in 1917. It is one of a series of reclining nude portraits inspired by Renaissance artwork. Nu Couché is one of Modigliani's best-known works and one of the most expensive paintings ever bought. It is one of 22 different settings and reclining nudes in his portfolio. The oil-on-canvas sold for $170 million in 2015 to Lee Yikan, a taxi driver turned billionaire. Another one of Modigliani's famous reclining nudes, Nu Couché sur le côté, also sold for a huge sum. Masterpiece by Roy Lichtenstein, $165 million. Roy Lichtenstein's pop art painting masterpiece features benday dots and narrative material wrapped in comic book speech bubbles. It is not oil on canvas but overlaps acrylic and silkscreen ink on canvas instead. It was inspired by old comic book illustrations. Art collector Stephen A. Cohen bought the painting from Agnes Gund for $165 million in 2017. The piece is now valued at around the highest price of $174 million.